there.
I am home. I'm home. I know. You're so cute. I missed you. Alright, y'all. I am home. I ordered pizza on the way home, so I'm gonna eat that. And then I think either this afternoon or maybe tomorrow, we'll see what I'm feeling up to today. We will discuss how my trip went and like my reflections and just how I'm feeling about the Appalachian Trail and all that. So, talk to you soon.
From your grandma's house, and apparently she had a boyfriend. Seriously? Yeah, well, that's all heartfelt.
All right. So I'm seated here by my dining room table, and I just wanted to chat about how the trip went. It's the next day now since I got home. I got home yesterday and pretty much just like passed out. I didn't even take out like my gear or anything from my car. I actually just pulled it out now. I'm gonna slowly do like some deep cleaning. Okay, let me rewind. Overall, the trip was really, really, really good. I had a really good trip. I really want to thank Omi for inviting me to come out and do the section hike with her and just taking the time to, chat with me and whatnot and make the trip happen. So I'm really, really happy that I did it. It definitely helped me overcome my fears of getting back out on trail. And yeah, overall really good. So back to what I was saying. One of the things that I wanted to reflect on about the trip was my cleaning when I got home from trail. So I think in a couple of my videos I talked about how when I got home from trail I wanted to like really clean my gear good and like store it in a long-term storage. And I did that for my sleeping bag and like my clothes and all that. But I didn't really clean my sleeping pad. And so when I rolled that sleeping pad out the first night, I was like, this thing is gross. And like, not on the inside of it, obviously. Like, I don't know what's going on in there. But like, it just like the outside layer was just so caked in dirt from sleeping in the shelters and the Smokies. And like, I think honestly, like one night, I think the Derek Knob night when we stayed in that shelter, and then the following night when we stayed in Mount Collins shelter, my sleeping pad just got so dirty from those two shelters that like, I don't know, it's forever stained. So I want to really like deep clean that before I like store it away for some time, because I don't think I'm going on any camping trips anytime soon because the school year's starting actually next week. So I'll be pretty busy, and like a lot of my vacation days I'm not going to be able to use on like hiking and whatnot because I am doing a lot of Disney races this year, as you guys know. So but yeah, so overall, like I realized one of the things when I got out there and like looked at my gear really and like started to actually use the gear is I need to clean it well before I store it. So that is definitely something I'm going to work on today. Another big thing. Okay, so my feet. Obviously, y'all know one of the reasons why I got off trail was my right foot and my left foot, but mostly my right foot / ankle was really giving me a lot of issues out when I was attempting my through hike. And I wanted to talk about that because this is obviously the first time I like have gone on like a backpacking hiking trip and like actually carried like some heavy duty equipment and hiked for miles and miles and miles, and then camped and then hiked more miles and miles the next day. So my feet did really well. I wore the Hoka Speed Goats, so that was a difference from when I was out on trail. Through hiking, I was wearing the Ultra Lone Peaks, and so obviously those didn't work out for my feet, so I went out with my Hoka Speed Goats. I also had an ankle brace on my right foot just because that's what I have been used to with my running and my walking and my working out when I'm at home. So I brought that out with me as well, and I think my feet did really well. My left foot didn't really hurt too much, other than like just being like sore. My right foot, again, just like being sore. I think the first day we hiked like 8-ish miles, something like 7.5 miles, something around there. And then the next day we did like 13 miles. So it was like, it was a big day. A lot more than we expected. We thought we were only going to do 8, but as y'all probably saw in the videos, if you haven't, I'll link them down below. There was a large family, about like 15 people deep, that rolled into the shelter that we were planning on staying at. And so myself and Omi just didn't really feel comfortable staying there. So we like pressed on to like kind of like another good like stealth site, if you will. It was like right next to a gap, but it was actually really quiet and nice. But yeah, so that was a really big day. And I know definitely when we got to the shelter that night, originally where we were going to stay, my feet were definitely sore and tired. And the first night, by the time we got to the shelter, my feet were sore and tired. But we had so much time to rest because we only were doing 8 miles that first day. The next day, we ended up doing like the extra mileage to get us to a stealth site. And boy, I tell you, when we got to mile 10, there was like a stealth site there that we were considering doing, but there wasn't a lot of water nearby, and like the sites weren't that flat. And so we were like, let's just keep pressing on until we see something better. But when we got to that, I really kind of wanted to stop just because my feet were in so much pain. I'm glad we didn't, because we did end up getting to go further past and have like a better spot with more space and flatter spots and water right nearby, trees to hang our bear bag on and whatnot. So I'm glad we pressed on, but my feet were definitely really sore that day, and I felt it the next morning. My feet were really tired, like pretty much the whole day. And then we were supposed to hike the 4th day, but y'all saw we got into town early because like the water and all that stuff. So yeah, but I think overall my feet did well. I don't know if Hoga Speedgoats are going to be my forever hiking shoes. I would like to try a few others. I would like to try the Saucony Peregrines, and I would also like to try the Brooks Cascadias, and just try those out and see how they do for me. But yeah, I think overall my feet did well. Okay, so let's talk about Omi. So obviously I had never met her when we were out on trail. We were about a month, 3 weeks to a month apart from where we were from each other. So we didn't really like cross paths at all. She was pretty consistently behind me while I was out there. And then obviously when I got off trail, she obviously went further past where I did. But so it was actually really cool when we were at the hostel. We like looked in the logbook and we found both our names and we saw exactly like what dates we stayed there. So that was kind of cool. But anywho, it was really nice to hike with someone else who had gotten off trail and like quit their through hike. It was really nice to just have someone to like talk through like and like relate to you. And like I was texting with Gabby Sarah because I knew she had gotten off before I did, so I talked with her a lot, and that was really nice. But it was really nice to like be face to face and like talking with someone, especially like while we were still hiking and like going to a hostel and like getting a shuttle ride and all that. That was scary for me because it's like I had gotten off and like quit this big journey, and I was scared to like go back out and like get out there because I didn't want to like be in this community where like I failed. So it was cool to like go with someone else, and like she was super nice, and we just like chatted the whole time, like shared our experiences and like how we were feeling, like what happened when we got home and all that. So that was really cool. And then she also is a YouTuber. I'll link her channel down below. We actually filmed a video together. I'm not sure when she's putting it up, but she and I had that to relate on, and like we were able to talk about like different YouTube stuff, and like that was something when I was out through hiking, like no one around me. Well, the first couple of days there was guys around me that were also vlogging, but like after that there wasn't really anyone around me that like I talked to that was a YouTuber, and so I never really had that to like relate to with anyone else. So it was nice to like get out there and like have someone else who I could relate to on that and like discuss different like YouTube things. And so that was really cool, getting to chat with her about all that and like YouTube hiking, AT, YouTube, and all that. Obviously a big difference from when I left trail to when I went out for this section hike was I went out in summer, right? Y'all saw I did a lot of comparing the trail from March to July. And one of the big things is that they talk about in summer is bugs. Now, when we parked the car at Laughing Heart and when we were like at the like in town in Hot Springs and like at the trailer, there were a lot of bugs like down like in that area. But when we got out on the mountains, the bugs weren't too bad like while we were hiking. They weren't too bad when we were like sitting at camp and stuff. They weren't like flying around our heads and like bugging us or anything by any means, at least for me. I don't know about her, but when I got into my tent, probably the second night, oh my gosh, my legs were so eaten up. Like the first night, I think I had like one bug bite, and I put some of my like after bite gel that I got from REI on it, and it like didn't bug me for the rest of the night. And then the second night, like somewhere around midnight, 1 a.m., I woke up and I was just like scratching, like clawing at my legs. My legs were so itchy. I don't know if it was something in my sleeping bag, if there was something in my tent biting me, because like I was under my sleeping bag. So it had to have been something like on my sleeping pad or my sleeping bag, or like something crawling in there biting me. But the backs of my legs were so bitten up, and like I had so many bites, and like I've been like scratching at my legs, so I have like open sores. It was so bad. And like I tried to put the afterbite on it, and I feel like it just like didn't help. So that is definitely something that I've learned, that like the afterbite from REI doesn't work for me, and I need to do like a Benadryl type of cream. The second I got home, that was the first thing I did, is I went upstairs, got Benadryl, and put it all over the backs of my legs, on all my other bites and whatnot. So that's definitely a difference that I will be on future hiking trips, bringing Benadryl instead of afterbite, like the cream, with me. But yeah, overall the bugs weren't too bad. I think I definitely had something in my tent that was just biting me, because like getting out of my tent, I didn't have any more bites or anything like that. So yeah, just something to note, something I thought about. Obviously you guys saw the big differences in trail from when I was out in March/February to now in July. The trail was much overgrown, and I mean, not all the areas, a lot of the areas were still like open, like the more well-traveled paths, but like the closer we got into town, the more overgrown it was, especially going over Bluff and going near like Walnut Mountain. There was a lot of overgrowth there, which was scary for ticks. We fortunately didn't have any ticks on us. We had permethrin all of our stuff before going out there, and like made sure like very thoroughly like not to stop in tall grass areas, and like we would get out of the grass area and like check our legs, like check the back of our legs each night in tent. I'm not sure what she did, but I like did a thorough like checking the armpits, checking the backs of my knees, checking in between my toes, checking in my waistband, like all the areas that like they typically go to. I checked for ticks. Fortunately, we were lucky enough to not deal with any, so that was, for the amount of overgrowth that we walked through, that was really good. But yeah, just something that we were concerned about going out there, and it definitely was very overgrown. So if you're going to be going hiking out in summer, just bug spray all your permethrin, all your stuff. I carried bug spray. I put it on one day, and then I didn't use it for the rest of the time. Like I really didn't even need it. But it was nice to have in my bag as like a backup, like peace of mind, like just in case the bugs did get really bad, like I could spray that around and like hopefully it would help. And then obviously when we got on top of the bald, so we went over Snowbird Peak, which I don't know if that's technically called a bald, but like it has a bald area on the top, with the weather tower. I don't know if it's a weather tower or like a airplane, like air traffic control area. I don't really know what it is, but that big white building, it's kind of has like a bald area up there, like that. And then Max Patch we went over was like a bald. Both of those had a lot more like grass and trees and bushes than obviously Max Patch didn't have trees, it just had the tall grass and like flowers and stuff. But it was a lot more than obviously when I was out there in March, when there was no grass and no trees and no bushes. So like in my head, I'm thinking we're gonna get to the top of Snowbird and there's gonna be such pretty views, and like there was some decent views, and like going over, there's this one campsite that I highly recommend if you carry your water up there, to stop there and stay overnight there, because it's just gorgeous. But that had a really pretty view, but like around the like white building there wasn't a lot of views. When I was out there in March, there was. And then the next day we went over Max Patch, and we were planning on having like a long break at Max Patch. We were going to take a couple hours and just sit up there, eat our lunch. We were going to cook lunch and all that. And when we thought about it, the closer we got down to the like parking lot area, and we were like, there's probably going to be some pretty tall grass and like a lot of ticks up there, so like I don't know if we necessarily want to sit up there. And sure enough, we got up there and there was a lot of tall grass. Like if you were to sit down on the ground, you wouldn't be able to see any views. So that was something where like I didn't really think about that going into this hike. And like obviously like summer you're going to have more plant growth than in winter, but I didn't really think about it. So yeah, a lot of plans that I thought we were going to do, like maybe camp on top of Max Patch, maybe eat lunch up there or take a long break up there, we didn't end up doing just because of the amount of plant growth. So something that I reflected on and noted that I definitely think I made a good choice of going out earlier in the season so I could get a lot of those really cool views. And if I were to go out and thru hike again, I think I would still stick with that February to early March time frame, just so I can have a lot more views than I would if I were to start later in the season. The last thing that I kind of reflected on was my sleeping bag. I thought about how, okay, so going into this hike earlier in the summer, I had considered doing, there's like a local trail around here that's about 60 miles. I had considered doing it, and then I thought about it's gonna be way too hot. And when I thought about doing that, I was like, one of the things I need to do is get a warmer weather sleeping bag. So maybe like a 30 degree or a 40 degree, because it's so hot down here in Florida, maybe even a 50 degree for down here in Florida. And then I decided not to do it just because of the weather and whatnot. And so when I went into this hike, I was like, yeah, I still never got a new sleeping bag. I'm gonna have to just bring out my 10-degree bag. And I definitely roasted throughout most of the nights. At night, around like midnight, 1 a.m., it would get to like 63, 64, 65 in that temperature range, but falling asleep through most of the night, it was really warm and really hot. And so I wish I would have brought my travel blanket, or I wish I would have gotten a like warmer weather sleeping bag. So that is something that I definitely like know for sure. If I were to go out on a thru hike or go out camping in summer again, I know I definitely need a different sleeping bag or some sort of other alternative. So that's something I want to like look for before I go do a bigger trip like that again. And yeah, just something I noted to myself. But yeah, overall the trip went really well, and I'm really pleased that we went out. I, again, thanks to Omi for picking me up at the airport and driving me into town, and coordinating the hostel stay and then driving me back to the airport. Thank you so much. Getting me my fuel. It was really fun. I really enjoyed the trip, and I hope we do another one again soon. But the next video y'all are gonna see is my, I believe, week 6 of Dobie training. So we're gonna get back to a little bit of running, but I do want to continue doing some like local day hikes and other like hiking related videos. So if you guys have any like hiking requests, hiking video topic ideas that you want me to discuss or undertake, definitely leave them in the comments down below. If you guys have any suggestions for topics for my Dobie training, definitely leave them down in the comments down below, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.